that happens to be like my strongest argument for, if you were going to say there was an argument for atheism, divine hiddenness would be my favorite one. It has been presented to me that God loves all of us.
Yep.
And he loves all of us really, really, really a lot. And so what I'm saying is, if he loved us and he was able to convince us of who he is, and he's not doing that, then to me, that's a contradiction. I mean, I don't know how else to do that. Why wouldn't he just show up? That's what you asked, right? Why doesn't he show up?
Yeah, but where's the contradiction?
I just said, if he loved us, he would convince us beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Why?
Or just either present us with information or just ping it into my head.
I think he has presented us with information. I don't think you need, as you were accusing earlier, a PhD to know whether or not God exists. I think it's there's something what Plantinga calls, going back to epistemology, a properly basic belief. But nevertheless, I want to stick to the point. Why do you think God would want to reveal himself? Is it possible that God could reveal himself right now to everyone, and there'd be people who still wouldn't want to accept him?
Absolutely. In fact, that has happened many, many times. It's happened to in the Garden of Eden. It happened to Moses. It happened to Lucifer. It happened to Paul. It happened to tons of people. So yes, and I'm ready. I'm ready.
So here's where I think you have once again a false theological belief or unbiblical expectation. So if God is omniscient, right? You're doing an internal critique. So let's go internally. If God is omniscient and he's all knowing, then he would know who would and would not respond to his revelation, correct?
Exactly.
Well, if we're doing an internal critique, this would also be the case, that God knows, because now we're talking about, for the audience, this is the argument from divine hiddenness is what you're presenting. It could also be the case, though, that God also knows that if he were to reveal himself to everyone, people would believe in him. But here's the first problem that most people who present the argument from hiddenness, which I think even most atheists don't understand, Schellenberg's argument from hiddenness, this was Schellenberg who popularized the argument, is that God is not looking for mere intellectual assent. He wants fellowship. He wants relationship. So, one, he could reveal himself to many people, yet that wouldn't incur or ensure fellowship with him. And so that's the first thing. So I don't know why atheists think, oh, if God just showed up, I mean, it's not like you're going to drop to your knees and worship him. So I don't know what the argument is there.
But number one, I would know who to hate. I would know that I'm worshiping something that, it would justify my worship. It would
wouldn't.
Peace of mind. Oh, yes, it would. I mean, I would love to worship a God that I believed in before. That would be great. Have you ever felt the love of God?
I'm curious about the God that you believe in, because it doesn't seem to be the God I believe in. So far, you've had a lot of theological errors in your 50 years of being a Christian.
Yeah, that's too easy to say, Eric. I mean,
I'm not just saying it. You showed it.
Okay. Again, whose problem is that? If God could just
yours
theologically, so you're saying God could theologically give me all the answers.
Why would he do that? Why you think Christianity is an intellectually lazy religion?
Okay, then why did he make me to go to hell?
He didn't make you to go to hell. He didn't make it to go to hell. There's the at least third false theological assumption. So not only do I think you know the arguments, I think you don't even know the basic theology.
I'm going to put up the red flag of dishonesty. I'm calling this is BS, man. No.
I think you're projecting.
But what I was saying before was that if God loved me, he wouldn't make me do all the double axel Suzy Q backflip, song and dance, and all that stuff.
I think you are doing that though for atheism. I think you're doing it right now.
No. It's so easy to dismiss stuff that's not true. That's again, we're gonna have to.
How do you know it's not true?
Because it has logical arguments that are fallacious. Like what you just said, like in the last 5 minutes regarding the Epicurean trilemma, was you somehow tried to make it all fit. You said that, hey, even if God came and completely made himself known, there would still be some people who didn't believe in him. Well, duh. But at least they would know, wouldn't they? It would be a little bit more loving, a little bit more fair. I mean,
I haven't finished my response. So you cut me off mid-response. That's the first part of my response. It's all right.
Apologies. It's your show. I do apologize.
Don't worry about it. No. It's all good. You're free to interrupt anytime. I've talked with many atheists in my lifetime, so I'm used to it. Let's just put it that way. I don't hold it against you. So
do you get fatigued from having to do that? Like,
no, because I care about them and I care about you and I want you to know the truth. And I don't think you do. And I think you're doing the philosophical minutia, the tap dancing, the logical fallacies, all to avoid God. But let me go back to, I want to stick to one thing at a time here. And here's a short answer to what you asked. Logic, evidence, and reason. That's how you know truth. Logic, evidence, and reason. Going back to what you were saying. So my first part was, we agree, it seems, that if God just revealed himself, that wouldn't automatically guarantee people to follow him and want to be in relation with him. So that's the first part of my argument. Second, if we're doing an internal critique, then, allow me to pull internally from my beliefs as a Christian and what I see Scripture teaching. Suffice it to say that the more revelation one is given, the more responsibility they have to respond to that revelation. And the more revelation one rejects, well, then the greater punishment they have in the afterlife. So if God is omniscient and all loving and all just, then in an ironic way, he would hide himself from people he knows would believe but not follow. Why? Because he'd want to minimize their punishment in the afterlife. So this makes perfect logical sense from my perspective as an internal critique, that if there's I'll let you respond. I know you're waving, but you just don't understand.
That is,
you just let me finish. Let me finish. You're raising the red flag because you just are ignorant of theology and what Scripture teaches, even though you're an atheist for 50 years. Let me finish my response, and I'll give you the floor. So, if there is a God that is all-knowing and all-loving and all-just, and he knows there are some who would reject despite his revelation, well, then he's not going to give more revelation to someone who's going to reject it. He's not looking for mere intellectual assent. He also knows, and by the way, you're probably not aware of this, and I don't mean that as a jab, just based on our conversation. You don't seem to be familiar with theology. The Bible says that God hides. Isaiah says you're a God who hides himself. So the argument from Hiddenness is consistent with, and is something that is predicted by Christianity, that God will hide. So how can something consistent with and predicted by Christianity be used as an argument against it? That blows my mind. But I'll throw it to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to respond to that make, in my opinion, pretty solid logical sense.
Go for it.
But the simplest thing that I was raising my little red flag of dishonesty about was, I mean, it's not, in my opinion, it's not loving and it's not justice. It's nothing like justice to maybe reveal yourself to some people and not others, and not give everybody the same opportunity to make the same decision. I just don't find that to be, I mean, intuitively, that doesn't make any sense. Maybe he knows that some people would dismiss him, and he says, hey, I only have so much power, and I'm going to use my force economically. My resources are only going to be towards, those people who I know are predisposed to, believing in me. Why did you make that? Well, first of all, you're supposed to be all powerful. This is that trilemma that you're just, I believe you're song and dancing about.
Sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not following the response.
You said he's all powerful.
Yes.
Why is that even an issue? Is he all loving?
Why is what an issue?
That he can't use resources that you say are limited, that, he has only.
I didn't say he's limited.
Oh, okay. Whatever reason you said that he wouldn't go and present himself equally to everybody.
Because he knows there would be people who would freely reject him.
Who cares? Who cares?
Wait a minute.
He did that to Paul.
He did that
to Lucifer. He did that to Adam and Eve.
So
he did that to Moses, and they all believed in him.
But okay, Lucifer, he believed. Of course, yes. The Bible says the demons believe and tremble. What's your point?
Example. I would be just like Lucifer. Come talk to me.
I think I believe you.
Huh?
I think I believe you.
Only I would not do what Lucifer did. I would be so happy because, number one, all my questions and all my fears would be all gone away. I don't know if you know what it's like to live in fear for 50 years, but I was traumatized.
I don't.
We could talk about that, Eric, but I was severely traumatized. Be that as it may, I would know exactly that all of the worshiping and all of the time and all of the prayer and all of the works that I did and all of the reading and learning and the church attendance, it was actually worth something. It was actually based in reality. That would be great. That's like a sunk cost fallacy, just in case you're wondering. But it wouldn't be a sunk cost fallacy because I would know for sure that it was happening. I would know who to hate. And that means a lot to me because not everybody would be good and I would be justified because there would be a true reason for me to hate people. That would be so helpful. And probably the most important thing was I wouldn't have to fear death. I wouldn't have to fear hell.
You're giving me I'm looking for the contradiction. You said there was a contradiction. You raised your proverbial flag. Where's a contradiction in my answer? Or where's a fallacy in my answer?
You
don't like it, but that's not a fallacy.
Well, I don't like it, but
which is an argument.
I mean, if you define justice as fairness, and that's the way I would,
sure.
it would be unjust and therefore unloving to not reveal yourself to everybody. Well, I mean,
we did an internal critique, right? So internally, what was my response to that? Because again, there's what the fifth false theological assumption.
So, yeah, even if I was a believer, I would still believe the same thing. I would.
And you would be wrong. There's a lot of believers who have bad theology.
It's not fair, Eric. We're not talking about whether you like sherbet ice cream or Rocky Road.
Troy, answer the question, please. You sound like the apologist accused of not answering questions. Can you tell me what was my answer to the internal critique you gave? Because you're missing it. Your response misses it.
What I thought you said was something along the lines of, if God knows you're going to deny him, then he wouldn't waste time making himself apparent to you, and he wouldn't, he would honor your judgment. And so he wouldn't even bother making himself known to you in the first place.
Because that would add to your condemnation in hell. So how is it not loving? And in fact, you're right. This wouldn't be justice would be giving it to you and letting you suffer that condemnation. But if God is merciful on top of this, then it makes perfect sense that he would hide himself as to not incur more punishment for you in the afterlife. What's wrong with that? So
I'm assuming you think that's biblical. And so is the doubt, like the descriptions of God as, somebody who would hide himself or, obscure himself from our view or not make himself known. So I think that those things are biblical. But I think in a way you're illustrating a point that I've made, which is that the Bible contradicts itself frequently.
Oh my gosh, Troy.
So, I mean, you just said, and I'm assuming you think it's biblical, that what this whole thing about God not revealing himself is the appropriate thing. But how can you also say that that's justice and that's a loving thing to do?
You tell me, because I already gave you the answer.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that.
Okay, but you saying you're not liking it or not agreeing isn't a response. It's not an argument. It's not a rebuttal. It's not a refutation.
You're saying that something people wrote in a book.
You're saying I don't like it. Therefore, what? Troy doesn't like something. Therefore, what?
It's not what you're saying. It's what's in the book. I don't like what's in the book. People wrote it. There's no evidence that God wrote it.
So if what you just said, you took it down and wrote it in a book, would that make it false?
No.
Right. So what does it matter that people wrote it? That's a fallacy. Should I wave a fallacy flag now?
You can, but
you're killing me, Troy.
But this is what we were talking about before. When we disagree, how do we decide what's true?
I already answered that.
Book.
Evidence, logic, and reason.
But you're not employing evidence, logic, and reason. It's not rational to say,
really,
I love you so much, I'm not going to reveal myself to you. That makes
given the consequences, it makes perfect sense. Given the consequences, that makes perfect sense. You just don't like it. I don't see what the problem is.
The consequences are eternal. There couldn't be.
Yes, exactly. And if God knows that if he revealed himself to you and you wouldn't accept, you would have eternal further condemnation and punishment in the afterlife.
But
so that's the loving aspect of hiddenness.
He made me knowing I was just going to go to hell. That's not loving either.
Okay, it's not loving for him to create you and allow you to make free choices. How is that not loving?
You just moved.
No, I didn't. Troy, you cannot follow the logic and reasoning. It's disappointing.
You know what's disappointing is the fact that I was thinking about becoming more soft and accept, apologists a little more and try to, understand with them. But that's dishonest. I mean,
Oh my gosh. What's
you,
dishonest, Troy? Tell me what's dishonest. Tell me what I
you
said that was dishonest.
it was what I said that you said wasn't true.
I
I
didn't even
said that
understand.
it's not just to make somebody, and it's not loving to make them knowing they're going to go to hell.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because hell seems like a bad place where there's going to be a lot of pain and agony and suffering.
But did you're implying that God made you to go to hell?
That's what you said.
No.
Because you said,
I don't think God makes anyone to go to hell.
why doesn't he just, okay, but before that, I said he could reveal himself and then we would all have a free choice, right?
We
Remember
do
when
have
you
a
said
free
that?
choice. We have
Huh?
a free choice now.
Okay, yes, I do. I don't know if you said it, but you insinuated it based on your logic, which is less than optimal. What you said,
That you can't follow.
yeah, but that's
Right.
that's
What does that say about you, Troy?
love and
If I
judgment.
have logic that's less than optimal and you can't follow even that, what does that say about you?
Well, your philosophical minutia, I did have trouble following, but this
Right.
the Epicurean trilemma is like one of
I
the.
need a red flag now.
I do. I probably deserve a red flag. Anyway, yeah. I mean, if you're going to, I think the first kindness you can show someone is to at least reveal to them the truth with yourself as evidence. So if God really wanted me to believe, he wouldn't send me Eric, he wouldn't send me the Bible, he would just show up, or he would just go ting in my head.
And we've already gone over that.
Yeah, but that's loving. That's the
And
point.
no, it's not. No, you
Of course it's
have
loving.
bad logic and reasoning when it comes to that because you don't understand proper theology and what Scripture
Oh,
teaches.
wait,
Your only response has been that you don't like it.
Yeah, no,
So
I don't like it because it's not logical. It's dishonest.
okay, show me the logical fallacy in it, please. Because there's 3 rules of logic, right? Law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle, law of identity. Which law of logic is that breaking?
Okay, so you can't define something that's loving as being something that's not loving.
When did I do that?
Define something that's just.
You're begging the question.
Unjust.
You're begging. That's also a fallacy.
It's
Where did I say that God is loving and defined him as not loving? Because you're clearly begging the question, which is a logical fallacy.
What you said, as far as I'm concerned, it's about the third time I've said it, is that God is all loving. Do you believe that?
Yep.
Do you believe it's not loving? Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe it's loving to not reveal yourself in a manner that somebody could make a logical decision about whether they're true or not, whether they exist in reality?
I think if you're omniscient and know you already know their decision, know the consequence of that. I think it would depend on the situation. So, for example, you're a doctor, correct? You're an MD.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem dishonest to you.
Would you? No. Let me show you. Let me show you how.
Eric, you're evading.
Nope.
It's not.
Nope.
I'll
I've
answer
answered you.
It's not.
No. You think it's not, but you haven't given me the logical contradiction that you claim there's one because you're begging the question. So you've committed I don't know how many fallacies just the past few minutes, but maybe you can follow this logic. You're an MD. Would you ever stab a baby with a metal object? Yes or no?
No.
Bologna sausage. You would ever give him a shot or vaccine?
So
exactly, Troy. So you would there are situations where you would stab a baby with a metal object to save their life because there's a greater good. So don't give me this bologna sausage that it's illogical. You just don't like the answer.
So what you're telling me is if I gave a baby a vaccine, that would be a perfect example of how stabbing them with a metal object would be good for them.
Yeah.
So now you're just making up the other bullcrap about revealing themselves to you. I mean,
here's the point. You could allow something that you don't like or that you don't think is optimal, but with someone who has greater knowledge, you're an MD. Surely you have much more knowledge than a 5-year-old child who needs a vaccine, right? So you know best. Now imagine God times infinity, who knows way more than we do, is omniscient, omnibenevolent, knows all, just and merciful. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knows what to do and who to reveal to.
You have gotten, and I don't know if we should have a celebration, but you got another one on the bingo card. which is God's ways are higher than ours, and we should not, question God, and ours is not to.
I never said. Oh, but now you're being dishonest. I need a red. I have a red screwdriver here. I can wave that. You're being dishonest. I never said that you can't question God. I've lived my life questioning the things of God.
You can understand. It would be foolish question. If you
nope. I've lived my life questioning God. I never said you can't question God. Now, would it be foolish? I think when you have a proper understanding of God, there's a level of evidence that you have based on what you know to be true, based on the logic and reasoning. That's what I'm going on. Don't dare accuse me that I say don't question God. Are you kidding me?
I may have, if we pull that little bit of wording out of it, the bingo card space still exists, which is, hey, his ways are higher than ours.
Didn't say that.
Hard for us to understand. I didn't say you couldn't question it. I took that out. You got me. I was wrong.
Troy, I don't know if you ever watched Rick and Morty, but there's a scene where he says, your boos mean nothing to me because I see what makes you cheer. With all due respect, I don't care what your bingo card says. And you're quite frankly strawmanning my response. But if it makes you feel better to have a bingo card and assume I'm being dishonest, that's fine. But I hope people look at the evidence and logic and what's being said.
I mean,
I hope you do too.
I hope people listen to me when I say
I do too.
Being dishonest. Well, I hope that's why we're having the conversation. That's why I'm having the conversation. I want people to understand that I'm approaching this with an open mind and with all those three things you said, logic and I forgot what they were.
Logic, evidence, and reasoning. I haven't heard much of it from you though.
You didn't hear that? Oh, that didn't originate with you?
No, I mean, I said I haven't heard much of that from you. Logic, evidence, and reason. I've heard I don't like it. I've heard God's not just. I've heard God wouldn't do that. I heard a lot of you're putting God on the psychology chair, but that's not evidence. Your assertions aren't evidence. I
have given you reasons for that, and one of the most important.
What reasons? You haven't given me reasons. You just repeated the claim. That's not a reason.
No. Well, I said, in my opinion, justice does not mean making people to go to hell or not giving them a legitimate choice by presenting yourself and making yourself known.
Or
revealing yourself, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, revealing yourself equally to everyone. Like if you reveal yourself really well to some people and they believe as a result, and you don't to other people, I think you're sort of extrapolating that. Well, he's just doing that because that's the kind thing to do, or whatever. We disagree. I don't like it, but it doesn't make sense to define love and justice as something that's not loving and not just. That's my opinion. You're welcome to disagree with it, but then you have to understand why I call it dishonest.
I don't. So I wave my red flag. So again, you don't like it. I don't care. I don't care that you don't like it. That doesn't matter. That's not evidence. That's not logic. That's not reasoning. Your preference means nothing.
Logical isn't
logic. To the validity of a claim. On top of that, this is also coming from the same guy who's an MD who said he would not stab a baby with a metal object because, I mean, surely you know about syringes. So, yeah, I no offense. I don't trust your atheist logic and reason that you've been presenting here. I still would love to hear some, or love to hear where what I've said is illogical, right? Three laws of logic.
There are syringes and there are needles and there are babies, and we can understand how that's an exception. When you go into what you call good theology, I don't see how you can justify that. You're kind of fabricating that. That's why I don't think it's being honest. I think you're just making that up.
I think you're trying to psychoanalyze. Are you a psychologist?
No, but I'm.
So why are you acting like one?
Because I believe in justice. I believe that we should believe true things. And if you're saying things that aren't true, we should call that out and examine what's going on with it.
What have I said that wasn't true?
What you said was true was that it was logical for God to reveal himself to some people and not others because of some song and dance that I thought was dishonest. So that's what I thought was not true. And
can you rephrase that? Because
So
what part's not true or dishonest or something?
So I feel like it's. Remember what I was describing apologists as doing a song and dance or a basket weave or a tap dance,
which is what I've seen you do.
A pretzel. I know I'm being accused of it. But when that happens, I think it makes me wonder why we have to do that. It's an obviated thing.
Do what?
I think
to try to get you to understand logic and reason?
I think you made up the whole thing about why God sometimes reveals himself to people and other times doesn't. I think that's something you made up. And you called it good theology, and it does fit. It definitely fits. I give you credit for that. It definitely fits.
Thank you.
But there's no evidence that it's true. And so my thought is, why do we have to, do those kind of, pick and choose and make it fit?
Why do we have to think logically as a Christian? Because that's part of the greatest commandment.
30,000 foot view, it can be all unnecessary if God just acted like God, all powerful.
I think he is. He just you want a God that appeals to your preferences. That's not a God to me. A God who is so minute and so
he could show
minutia that he appeals to Troy's preferences. I wouldn't want to worship that God.
Well, he could show me that he doesn't. I mean,
he doesn't what?
He doesn't appeal to my preferences. He could show me.
Oh, I think he is showing you that.
He can show me whatever he wants. But I mean, and by the way, I don't know how long you have to visit today on our live stream, but I just want to say thanks for your hospitality. And, when I say things like you're being dishonest, that's really how I feel. But I appreciate that you haven't taken it like real personally. You've been very hospitable during the entire time. You've listened, and we've both interrupted each other a little bit here and there, but it's been productive. It's been productive for me. So,
no, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. So here's a question from me. Gonna go for it. He says, if God is all knowing and all powerful, and he knows I'm going to die an atheist, can he change my mind? The short answer is yes, he can change your mind. But the question is whether one is willing to change your mind. So it's like asking, could I marry every girl in the world? Logically, sure, I could. But the question is, does every girl in the world want to marry me? Now, of course, I'm married. So I don't need another wife. But could I? Yes. But the question is, do they want to? No. I could ask, Troy, could you marry the hottest supermodel in the world? Sure, you could. But do they want to marry you? That's a different question. So
I don't have as good a hair. I don't have as good a hair as you, Eric. That's for sure.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. So yeah, I think that's what atheists typically miss. They ask the could question, but not the would question. And I think that's part of the divine hiddenness that I think, respectfully, Troy, you are missing. It's not that God couldn't reveal, but he knows that if you would, he also knows the consequences of that. And so I think in his love and justice and mercy, he chooses to hide.